So it's the start of the year, January, and you might be wondering, hey, should I set some goals for myself for this year? It's a perfect time to do some goal setting. And most people's approach to goal setting is just writing down a bunch of things that they want to achieve, and they kind of stop right there. They don't ever take it that second step, which is once you set your North Star, how do you reverse engineer and come up with a plan throughout the year on how to get there? And it could be a multiple year goal, and you have to break it down into annual steps. So this year could be just the first step to that 5-year goal. And all high performing business people, athletes, pretty much everybody do some sort of goal setting where they clearly visualize exactly what they want and, most importantly, when they want to achieve it by. If you don't have that time part of it, that could be a missing piece to why you're not achieving your goals as fast as you thought you should. Today, I'm breaking down my system of how to do goal setting and create that map, which covers the 4 main parts of your life. It all starts with visualization. So, do you want to earn your first $1 million by age 30? Do you want to buy your first house by age 25? Do you want to retire by age 54? Do you want to earn $250,000 by the end of this year? Do you want to go on that 30-day trip across Southeast Asia? Or do you want to find a soulmate and have children and settle down? Or maybe you want to be closer to your faith. These are all tangible things that you can really clearly visualize and put a time with it. For me, the way that I like to do it is to visualize using a dream board. Back in the day, those were actual boards, paper boards that I would put together. Today, they're more digital, but a good pro tip would be maybe put one together and print one out and have it so that it's always there to make sure that it's tangible and it's persistent and it's always there. I really think that without having that North Star, just try the best that you can. You don't achieve as much. That's what I believe. And also, I think that it can definitely be a multi-year goal. Like I believe that when I was 30 years old, I said, you know what? I want to retire by, 54. And I've actually met a number of people now that have retired by 54, and it's great. And so that's a time limit on how I can get there. So a pro tip would be to have an accountability partner, a buddy, someone that you can share your goals with, and maybe you can do the exercise with them and they can share their goals with you. And then you want to be able to measure your progress weekly and at the latest monthly, because you want to be making progress every single month to get to it. You only have 12 months in a 1-year period, right? And maybe, you're putting away $1,000 a month or something like that. So the 4 buckets that I like to group my goals into are assets, income, family, and personal. All right, let's start with assets. So what are assets? You have gold, you have oil, those are commodities. You have stocks, you can buy Nvidia, you can buy Facebook, Meta, you can buy bonds, treasuries. Those are a little bit more predictable but lower yield. You can buy cryptocurrency, which is very volatile. You can even buy art, I think Pokemon cards, stuff like that. I personally like to invest in commercial real estate because that is the industry that I am most familiar with since I've been in the industry for 25 years now. And I like to invest in what I know. Plus, I have found that by investing in it directly, I've gotten an outsized return when compared to investing in an index fund like an S&P 500. So what kind of goal would you want to set yourself from the asset standpoint? A lot of people pick $1 million of net worth if they haven't had it already. And net worth is just your assets minus your liabilities. And it doesn't have really the income component that's tied into it. So you have to think of assets as your savings and how you're directing that income that you're earning every year through your normal wages or your dividend income or your interest income. And how do you direct it to more assets while simultaneously keeping your liabilities in check, right? And so I think that let's pick $1 million of net worth. And you might be currently at $200,000 of net worth or $100,000 of net worth. So it might be a steep mountain to climb. But break it down. It doesn't have to be done by the end of this year. It could be done in 3 years, and 5 years, and 10 years. But you have to have a plan on how to get there. Because if you don't, and you never start directing your income towards assets and building your net worth, then 5 years will go by very fast and your net worth really didn't go anywhere, right? And I think that by the end of the year, if you were to say, hey, I'm going to take 50% of my income and buy assets with them that will appreciate over time, and where you don't have to be an active participant for it to appreciate, and that's the long game. Over a 5-year span, maybe these assets double in value or triple in value, whatever the case may be. But you have your money working all of the time. And I think that I don't want to give advice on this particular video on which assets to buy, but I do want to mention that your risk tolerance and going into assets that you really know about play a huge factor. So think of how much income you want to direct towards there. Talking about assets, just so you know, I do have a video on comparing different assets to commercial real estate. It's called Real Estate is the Ideal Investment, IDEAL, which is an acronym. And that is a video that I'll link to at the end of this one, because you might find it pretty interesting to compare those asset types. The next one is the income. So let's say that you're making $100,000 per year right now, and you want to make $200,000 per year. Maybe it's not possible for you to make it by the end of this year, but think of it as, hey, what would it take in my field, or am I in the right field to begin with? And when can I get to that $200,000 annual income? Perhaps that's in 2 years or 3 years. Talk to your boss, talk to the owner of the company and say, hey, I got a goal of $200,000 a year. Help me make a plan, because the great thing with business is that if you made $200,000 for that year in that company, it's likely that that amount of output that got you to $200,000 made the company $500,000. So they are all in on making you more money, because they're leveraging your human capital to make the company more money. So it's a win-win situation. And as a president of a company, I can tell you that that's music to my ears when we have hungry people, we have ambitious people that say, hey, I want to make a lot of money, and they want to put in the effort to do that. By the way, I'm Chen. I'm president of Saglo Companies. I started in commercial real estate in the year 2000, and now I run a company that owns 25 shopping centers across the Southeast. The next part of it is really family. So that's another bucket that you should put a lot of focus on. If you have a significant other, how do you strengthen the relationship? Or maybe you want to build your family, have more stability. If you don't have a significant other, I know that that is very much a stabilizing force for everybody to have someone else in your life. And I think that if you don't put time and focus on it and think that, hey, it's just going to happen by itself, maybe it will, but a lot of times, it's not going to happen in the timeline that you want it to. I mean, I know that both my wife and myself, when we were really focused on settling down, we said, hey, before we met each other, we set time aside in our calendars to really make sure that we had the time to go online and check online profiles. That's how we met online, and I think that's how a lot of people meet today. Or to work on yourself to make yourself the best version that would attract the mate that you're looking for, right? And so just setting that time aside, whether it's, making sure your health is optimal, making sure that you're building your skills, that you're building your personality and your career, I think those are all things that will help you in your family portion of it. The fourth bucket is really personal. And with personal, the question is, Do you want to buy your first house if you haven't bought one already? If you do, go shopping. Which house do you want to buy? Which neighborhood do you want to be in? How many bedrooms is it? How many bathrooms is it? Find out how much it costs. Get pre-approved. Really visualize it. Start taking the steps necessary to get there. And then put a time on it as well. I want to buy my first house by age 25, and you might be 21 right now. And by the way, a house is an asset. So these are all kind of things that work, all the buckets kind of work together. And the first step is always the down payment. So maybe you want to start thinking, hey, how do I redirect some of my income to savings or to stocks and build up the down payment needed for the house? But clearly visualize it. And you have 4 different things all working together, right? You have your assets, your income, your family, and your personal, and you want to achieve things in all 4 simultaneously each year, and maybe even multiple things. And I think that once you lay it all out, and let's just say, hey, I want to buy my house, increase my income to $250,000, get my net worth to $1 million or more, and find my soulmate. All right. So map all that out, and you want to do a portion of it this year, and maybe it's a 3-year plan. Figure out the steps that you need to get there, right? So let's start planning. With the soulmate, maybe it's, hey, do you want to set up an account on a dating website? Visualize the type of person that you would like to be with from a personality standpoint, from a persona standpoint. And then, okay, so now you have that. And every week you're working on visualizing how to achieve that or how to attract that. Okay, now you want your income to be from $100,000 to $250,000. You're talking to your boss, they're figuring out, hey, what are your skill sets? How do we leverage you to create more output so that you can earn that money? And they're going to give you a plan that's individualized for your business, for your industry. And then you're consciously thinking, hey, I'm going to redirect this income or a portion of this income to saving so I can put it into assets, right? So now you're building your assets because maybe you want to get to a $1 million net worth over a 3-year period. And then what else? I think with the house, right? I think with the house, just get pre-approved. Put the picture of the house that you want. I mean, it doesn't have to be that exact house that you end up buying, but just put a picture up there on your dream board. And I think that once you have all of that crystal clear and you're really hyper-focused on it, you're going to start attracting it, and you're going to start to make decisions that will lead you there, so long as that you can clearly keep a picture of what you want in mind. So I'd love to learn what your goals are. Please drop them in the comments below. I think if you put it out there already, it's going to start the process and start attracting it to you. I'll tell you a little bit about my goals and also the map on how I want to get there, at least the thought process behind it. And I'll also put it out there. So number 1 is that I want to make sure that I make enough income from my real estate to surpass my cost of living by at least 50%. And I would like to do that within the next 2 years. I might be there already, but the first step would be to really narrow down my cost of living. I don't spend a crazy amount, but between my wife and I, we'll figure that out. And once you have that cost of living, and you can look it up on how to really narrow down your cost of living between the food and the housing, the healthcare, the entertainment, donations, and all of that. Then I add 50% to that, compare it to what I'm currently making with my real estate, and then figure out how much more real estate do I need to invest in to get to that amount within the next 2 years. It could be I need to invest another $1 million, $2 million, and that would be in alignment with the plan of my company. We are continuing to grow, and I do plan on investing quite a bit more over the next few years. From a family standpoint, I have family all over the world, and I like to see them at least once a year. If they're in Taiwan, maybe it's every other year. But the plan would be to map out all of the homes that I have to go visit, including my in-laws, and put them on the calendar and say, hey, I'm going to the Midwest in April, and I'm going to Taiwan in August, and I'm going to California in July, and I'm going to Maryland, multiple times a year, especially since we have property in Maryland now, and making sure that they are on the calendar. One of the things I've been talking to with my wife for the longest time, and she knows I've been wanting to do this, is a European river cruise, like one of those awesome AMA waterway cruises, 2 weeks going down the Danube River, passing through Austria. She's a huge Sound of Music fan, and the cost of that I think isn't too crazy. Like I think it's something maybe $15,000 or $20,000 or something like that. So the money part is not really the issue. It's really the time part. And that's a whole nother video, because time is your greatest asset, or the most important asset. And I'd like to do that next year, and I have to figure out, how do I carve out 3 weeks there? And how I do that is just to make sure that I have enough redundancy, and I have enough systems in place to make sure that everything continues to run smoothly by next year. So through our scaling up program through the rest of this year, we'll achieve that. And scaling up is a program that we are using at our company to do just that, to make sure that everything is functioning at a high level. Some of the other goals that I have are learn how to speak Mandarin, generate at least 200 health points every week through my Google Fit app, read the Bible for the 3rd time, listen to 20 Audible books, and all of those things I want to be able to do by the end of this year. So I'm also putting those on the calendar and just making sure that those get done. And then lastly, from a YouTube standpoint, I'd love to get to 2,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. Right now I'm at like 272 subscribers. And the way I'm planning on doing that is just to make sure that I keep upping my game on the content, continually posting consistently twice a week, long form videos, and 3 times a week for the shorts. And also to try to push more people towards my YouTube channel from my other social media outlets. And I feel like I can probably get there. And so I did it also. It's out there, and maybe we'll check in 12 months and see if I achieved it. But hey, look, even if I get to 90% of it, it's a lot better than not ever having set the goal and just ending up where you end up. All right. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great year. Good luck. Drop the comment below as far as what your goals are, and I'll check you out next time.